So fun to have everybody, so many people, not everyone, but so many people sharing this morning. So thank you to our small group gathering that waved to us earlier. And thank you, Angie, for your inspiration always and wisdom, and Janice and Terry Ann as well. So I was thinking about the sharing and the talk and what spoke to me as far as music. I landed on how we have to love ourselves to be open to the adventure of living life wholeheartedly. And so I landed on this song for this morning for the first feature. Here we go. A song I wrote called I Am. Both of these, though, are chosen because both of them are about living life without apology. I am not what you think of me. I am more than you think you see. I am what I say I am. I am, I am. Become my actions are what my life speaks from. To live as the real me is the only way to be free. I am not what you think of me. I am more than you think you see. I am what I say I am. I am, I am. Sometimes I cry, I'm calm, but sometimes I fight. It's too exhausting to deny all that I am. I am not what you think of me. I am more than you think you see. I am what I say I am. I am, I am. How will I ever be free until I speak for me? I am what I say I am. I am what I believe I am. I am more than you think I am. I am, I am. I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am what I say I am. Yeah, I am what I say I am. Our thoughts, our feelings, our words. Ooh, it's a little warm out here. They all become our life, yes? So that song, I wrote it all about living without apology, claiming all the pieces of me. And I thought of that because of Janice's sharing this morning about how living the adventure of the soul has to be centered and steeped in living from self-love and self-care, and that has to be right there in the forefront of where we're coming from to live a wholehearted life and full of adventure. And remember, last week we talked about adventure is not always shiny and unicorns and fairy dust. Sometimes adventure can feel like wah! And by very definition, it's sometimes hazardous, sometimes dangerous, unusual, uncertain, but exciting and appealing, and it pulls us to engage in the new and to embark on a new journey in a new territory. And so, but I do want to point out that you don't have to travel to have an adventure. We're traveling this month because we wanted to give you different scenery, right? Instead of just a blank screen behind us, we wanted to give you bring a little bit of nature into your homes. Many people are not leaving their homes a lot during this COVID time, and so we just wanted to give you a different experience. So we're traveling, but I want to make sure I'm clear that we don't have to travel to have an adventure. Life is our adventure. We've spent a lot of time with our nephews and our niece this week, and talk about adventure, right? Just seeing life through a child's eyes. A straw is an adventure. Dirt is an adventure. Running on a dirt road is an adventure. Playing at the beach is an adventure. Just running and picking up the sand and throwing it on everyone. Playing peekaboo is an adventure, right? And then we grow up and all of a sudden we start looking everywhere for adventure, forgetting that it's right where we are. Just like that song that I sang about being open to the presence, that wherever I am, there you are. You being the divine presence in, as, and through all things. Wherever we are, there it is. And we're on sacred ground. We're on holy ground wherever we are. And we're in the adventure. And the biggest adventure that we can have is being ourselves in a world that wants to make us in its image or in someone else's image or make us something that we're not. That's our greatest adventure, is really truly loving ourselves, being ourselves, and bringing our highest self forward in life and being open to finding that personal adventure and being hopeful, right? Living life, being ourselves and living in an expectancy of good, as Dr. Ernest Holmes said, or as Angie said this morning, I live in the joy of what's next and I expect miracles. I was like, oh honey, I'm gonna write that down. That was good. I live in the joy of what's next, meaning I'm expecting there to be joy in the next step. I'll say we, and I mean I, have planned so much around this Adventures of the Soul, and it's hysterical when I look at how much I've planned and how much of those plans have been like, no, that's not happening, because of weather or because of change of location needs or because of construction or just whatever, right? Something that we didn't foresee happening, or malfunction in a piece of equipment, or we don't have a whole lot of equipment. We have a microphone and a guitar and a phone, but something not being charged or whatever. So it's been interesting how this has reminded me the importance of you can't control the wind, you can't control the weather, you can't control the kids too, by the way. Lots of kids around us, and I mean, I guess you can control kids, but I don't want to live that way. And so we encourage them to be free within obviously safe reasons, but they're reminders of letting things be is what I'm getting at. When I say control the kids, I mean when they come at you with that cute little open mouth kiss, but they got stuff all over their face, but yet they're coming in to give you that big old mwah, Aunt Christy, and you just want to receive the love, and you're like, don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it. Oh yeah, that was nice and sticky. That's the kind of not controlling that I'm talking about. Keeping them out of the road, of course you control that. But anyway, so all these opportunities to be reminded that to live a full wholehearted adventure, we are called to be ourselves, love ourselves, go with the next moment, expecting it to be awesome. I saw a meme, I think, Angie posted it. It said, stop expecting the apocalypse and start preparing for the revolution. And I changed it a little bit in my mind. Stop expecting the apocalypse and start expecting the ascension of collective consciousness. Reminds me of Sally, one of our board members. She said, I just want to remind everybody that what we fuel, we create. Thank you, Sally. Yes, preach, girl, preach. What we fuel, we create. And we fuel things when we see the ads come on TV for the person that we're not going to vote for. And we go into our minds and go, oh man, if that person wins, what a disaster. I can't have that happening. Oh no. And then this will be terrible. And he's so awful, or she's so awful, or whatever. And Sally said, instead, I've started muting the TV when an ad comes across, and I go into treatment. That's our word for affirmative prayer. She says, I go into treatment and I affirm for our country, for our world, peace and harmony and unity instead of division and fear and destruction. Can we do that together? Will you join me in doing that and stop anticipating the apocalypse, but rather planning for the ascension in consciousness by being part of the ascension in consciousness, by being part of it every single time we want to go to fear, every single time we want to go to anger or regret, but instead going into that place of knowing a higher truth. And so I'm reminded of, when I said that word regret, it reminded me of Dr. Ken Gordon recently at Center for Spiritual Living, Kelowna. He was quoting actually Marcia Sutton, who's another person I highly recommend you looking into. She's a wonderful teacher. But Dr. Ken was talking about how in prosperity classes and stuff, we teach people that regret blocks prosperity and prosperity follows love. That's Marcia Sutton's quote there. But Dr. Ken changed it around a bit and said, let's just put the word energy in there. Because prosperity, yes, but prosperity is energy. It's just the divine moving through us in different ways, whether it's money or health or relationships or whatever the case may be. Passion, purpose, vibrant energy. So energy, what if we looked at it that way and said regret blocks energy, blocks the flow of life? Or we could even say shame, guilt, regret, or judgment, or any place that we go where we separate ourselves from someone else. Now I'm adding to the quote. All of those things block the prosperous flow of life. All of those things block us showing up open to an adventure of a wholehearted life. And yet love allows all of that to flow. Love allows all of that to flow. And again, going back to the most important starting point has to be in loving ourselves enough to live the life that we are here to live. So recently I had the honor of being on a Zoom conference, a Zoom convention for the LGBTQ Democrats of North Carolina. And on that call was one of my heroes. It was Colonel Greta Kammermeyer. And Colonel Kammermeyer was, she's been someone that I've admired for quite a long time. If you saw the movie with Glenn Close back in the 90s called Serving in Silence, that was about the Colonel's life. But for me, it started way before the movie. It started when she was discharged from the Army for being a lesbian. She wanted to move on and be a general, and to be a general, she had to go through this top secret clearance and investigation, and in that investigation, they asked her sexual orientation, and she was honest, and she was discharged. And so 1991, I was graduating college, and here this is hitting the papers. This woman dared to be herself, and look what happened. She's out of here. But the story didn't end there. She fought it. She stood up to the government, to the military, and said, no, I deserve to be here. I'm a decorated nurse, Vietnam nurse. I'm a mother of 4. I'm a highest ranking officer to ever challenge this policy. What else? She had all these awards, right? And because she stood up, she was the beginning of the conversation that led to Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which we realized at the time it felt like, yay, a win. then decades later, it's like, oh, Don't Ask, Don't Tell is like, we will tolerate you. We don't want that, right? We want to move into a wholehearted acceptance of all people. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm choosing to believe we're getting there. But anyway, it started, this conversation got brought out of the shadows, out of the closet, literally, with Colonel Greta Kammermeyer. And I was so impressed by her guts, right? The courage that it took to stand up to the government, to the military, and say, no, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be here. And so whether it's coming out as LGBTQI or just standing up and saying, I deserve to be treated with respect in my relationships or at my work, or maybe to yourself, loving yourself enough to stand up and say, you know what, I'm not going to do the struggle anymore. I'm going to let go of struggle. I'm going to move into a life that I deserve to live. So here she was on this call, and I had the preparation meetings with the folks that were planning it, and I was telling Angie I was really excited about being on this call with her, on the Zoom convention with her, and how much I admired her tenacity and her bravery. And Angie was like, she got that, what I've decided I'm going to call the Decade Haze, because she's 12 years younger than me, so she gets this Decade Haze sometimes, which means she's listening and she's trying her best to be engaged, but she has no idea what I'm talking about. And I know that when I talk about the Waltons or let's see what else, things that were instrument, like the Golden Girls. Anyway, when I think of TV shows or certain things, occasionally she'll get the Decade Haze. And I saw that come across her face, and I'm like, you don't know who she is, do you? And she's like, no, but I'm listening. I'm interested. And I started telling her how much this person meant to me as this young woman graduating college, taking off to go and perform for a living in bars and in establishments and restaurants where being who I wasn't always accepted, was rarely accepted, actually. And I was trying my best to be out there and love myself enough to be myself. And here is this colonel giving me that inspiration. So as I'm telling Angie, I can't get through it. I can't tell her who this woman is and her story like I'm telling you right now without crying. I must have stopped 6 times. I'm bawling the ugly cry, and I'm like, what is happening? This is so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. And then I started freaking out, going, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on this convention Zoom thing. I won't be able to do it. I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm not even be able to look at this woman. And then I realized this deserves a song. if it impacted me this much, this deserves a song. And so I wrote a song for that convention, for Colonel Kamelmeyer, about how her taking the chance that she didn't even know who would see, how her risking things, how her taking chances to be herself impacted so many others, including me. How just her being herself, bravely being herself, helped me be unapologetically and bravely who I am. And I'm so very grateful. You see, we don't always know who's watching. We don't know who's watching the way we live and the way we move. And that takes me back to the kids. They watch everything. Careful what you say, they're going to repeat it. And it's so cute until you let something slip that you shouldn't, and then they repeat it, and then somebody says, "Where'd you hear that?" And she says, "Aunt Christy." Anyway, so you want to make sure that you are living life that way, right? Because the universe is listening like a little kid. With our thoughts and our feelings, we create. So when we're living outside of our true nature, when we're living out of congruence with what we say we want in the world, when we're saying we want to show up as peace and love in the world, but we're watching TV and we're cussing at it, and we're saying the world is going, the apocalypse, the end is nigh, the apocalypse is happening, we are not being congruent with what we say we want to create and what we say we're here to do. So being open to adventure is about being that space regardless of the circumstances around us, and recognizing that we have a responsibility for how we're living our life, because it is impacting those around us, whether they're kids or little young people graduating college and looking to you for how to live bravely in the world. So staying open. So we want to be open, we want to stay open. So I always like to ask the question, what is trying to happen right now by means of me? What wants to happen by means of me? And I like to affirm, I am open and I allow the highest and best to be expressed by means of me. I'm open and I allow the highest and best to be expressed by means of me. Say that with me. I am open and I allow the highest and best to be expressed by means of me. And I recognize that it starts with being that on the inside. So it also follows faith, right? Our faith, what we're putting our faith in, we're putting it in something all the time. Dr. Ernest Holmes said that I choose to live expecting the full proof of my faith. So let's live expecting the full proof of our faith, that these divides across our country, that this unrest that we keep having, the way that, man, you can't watch the news lately without it being really extreme or extra, as people might say. And so being able to stay faithful, we have to not stoop to the fear, but stay in the truth, right? Stay in the truth, not stoop to the fear that this COVID experience is never going to go away and our lives are never going to be okay. We can't stoop to that fear. We have to be buoyant and rise above. That's why I love watching pelicans when I'm at the beach. They swoop down, they get the fish, and they come right back up. There's little air sacs under their skin. Did you know that? It's very cool. But they're buoyant. We need to be that buoyancy. And we can have that when we choose where we place our faith. I place my faith in an inexhaustible supply of spirit that shows up as money, as health, as harmony, as joy, as peace, as me, and as you. And I'm living, expecting the full, complete proof of my faith. So staying open, it must start with that love of self, and the love of self that is so, I just had a note right here. I realized I just had something I was going to share with y'all, and then I forgot to bring it. Oh well, I guess I wasn't supposed to share it. So anyway, that love of self that embraces all of you, right? It's too exhausting not to live as all of the pieces rumbling around inside that make us us. So I was thinking about that part and how important it is to embrace every piece of us. And I used to think that, my quirks and my idiosyncrasies were reasons that people wouldn't love me fully. And that's just not true. We all have quirks and idiosyncrasies. We all have these little things that make us unique and different. A couple of mine are, I'm gluten-free and I'm vegan. And people sometimes see that and think, no, she just bougie. I remember, there's gnats all of a sudden, sorry. I remember being down here at Huckapoo's on Tybee, and I was part of Equality Fest, and and one of the waitresses, she was just kidding, but she came out and yelled in front of a couple of hundred people, "Who's the bougie bee that ordered the gluten-free cheese pizza and brought her own cheese?" I'm like, "That'd be me, girl. Hey, bring it over here." Because, there was a time when that would have embarrassed me. I'd want to crawl under a table, and I was just like, "Hey," waving my freak flag. I'm good. I like my vegan pizza. I like my vegan cheese and my gluten-free crust. And furthermore, I don't just like it. I am in touch with what I care for, but I don't just like it. It's what I need, right? It's what I need to feel good. How many times do we shrink and play small, place our needs aside so that someone else can be comfortable? We do that a lot in life. And I'm asking you to consider letting that go so that you can fully live open to the adventure of living, so that you can fully bring your best self, your full self into the world. Embrace it, own it, what you care for, love yourself enough to give yourself what you need, and let it be okay when you're different, right? Everything about me has always been different than my family, different from a lot of people. And I remember when I first started singing music for a living, and my brother Joe, he used to tease me and say, "Well, it must be nice not to work for a living." And I was like, "Well, I believe it was Mark Twain that said, find a job you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life." So yes, it is nice. It's quite nice. Thank you. I love my life. And we're here to love our lives. We are here to love ourselves and love each other and to live that open-hearted, courageous, wholehearted experience right here. It's not out there somewhere. It's not the next day. It's not the next thing, the next job, the next partner, the next. It's right here. I remember a reading that Terry Ann shared a couple of weeks ago from Mark Nepo's book, and the quote was, "Chasing paradise keeps us from living in here in paradise." Here is paradise. Wherever here is, you're on sacred ground. So chasing it, thinking it's just out of reach, keeps it out of reach instead of being open and letting it flow through you right where you are. The Science of Mind affirmation for today is, "The way is made clear before me and it's filled with joy and harmony." The way is made clear before me and it's filled with joy and harmony. Can you, in this moment, can you put your toe in the water of possibility and say, "I am ready to wake up every day and say the way is made clear for me and it's filled with joy and harmony." It's made clear before me and it's filled with joy and harmony. We are connected. We're connected through the invisible side of life. We are each here to live our greatest adventure of being our full selves. And when we do that, and not until, then we can love the world back to its wholeness, back to the recognition of the wholeness that's already there. I love you. I'm grateful for each and every one of you, and I encourage you to get out there and live your open-hearted adventure, your wholehearted adventure. Have the courage to be who you are, to let it shine, and to love the world back to the recognition of its wholeness. Thank you.